RC software, what we did at NASA, and what I will propose all of you to do, is consider the notion of planning. Now, in creating success in your life, there is actually many rules for success. There is. The whole universe is governed by rules. From the Big Bang to how heavy stars exploded, spewing heavy elements into the cosmos, precursors to life on Earth, to the evolution of life on this planet, to the electrical and chemical processes in your brain. Everything's rules. In other words, success has nothing to do with luck. It's having to do with rules. But the problem is, a lot of the rules required for success, you may want a certain output, but you don't like the rules. Well, you know, I'm 60 pounds overweight. Okay, that's fine. But here are the rules to lose 60 pounds. Well, I don't like those rules. I don't care. The person who tells me that I'm okay being 60 pounds overweight, I understand the consequences. That person's in their power. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not that good. That's rude for me to tell anybody what to do. I don't want that responsibility. It's just bloody rules. If you want financial independence, it's bloody rules. If you want meaningful love in your life, it's bloody rules. In order to do that, you have to think. Everybody's heard of the virtue of planning. I know that, but you know, most of you don't engage in it. I know it. Less than 3% of Americans engage in planning, even though we've all heard the virtue of it. Now, even though that's a small percentage, from a statistical point of view, that's a large enough population for us to collect variables. Interestingly, if you look at the two groups, because in less than 3%, we're still talking about millions of Americans engaged in planning, the demographics of the group that plans is identical to the group that doesn't plan. IQ, pretty much the same on both counts. Education, same thing. Ethnicity, same thing. Sexual orientation, same thing. What is different between those two groups is the output. The group that plans, on average, they make $35,000 a year more than the group that doesn't plan. And the group that plans, they have a success rate of 65% with their relationships versus 35% in the group that doesn't plan. In the group that plans, they live 10 years longer than the group that doesn't plan. Now, we like that output. But here's the thing. Planning involves thinking. We're not conditioned for it. More than that, our biology does not support it. Warren Buffett makes it his business, as he built Berkshire Hathaway into the monolith that is today. He made it his business to understand why businesses fail. Not just what you need to do to succeed. He was intrigued, well, why do we screw up all the time? Why? So he can avoid those pitfalls. The same thing with your life. If you feel you got something lacking in your life, you know, maybe some of you are okay in the money department, but then maybe you're dealing with your third divorce. I don't know. If you want an upward trajectory in your life, you have to think. Well, first of all, the older part of the brain, the limbic, the brainstem, that's where your emotions sit. That's where your bodily functions sit. It's into react mode. Why? Because that's how we survive. The frontal part of the brain, the frontal lobe, this is where imagination, reasoning, the mathematical functions sit. Hey, you. That's a much newer part of the brain. Much more recent in the development of Homo sapien. The two parts of the brain are in conflict with one another. It is. Well, I want to lose a pound off God, that donut. Don't grab it. It's reacting. The reactive part of the brain requires no working memory. It requires no effort. It requires very little brain resource. The reflective part of the brain requires working memory and time. And we don't want to take time. Come on, give it to me now. I promise you that if you engage in an effective model of planning, and even that, the rules for are here. But it's there. It's there. I got a program I can present to you someday that will show you how to follow the dots in your life. To have what you want on your terms according to your agenda, not someone else's agenda. That's work. I have the method. resulting of planning in your life to be a game changer in your life. Most of you won't do it because of how we're built. But maybe if I help explain to why we don't, then you can do the Warren Buffett thing and be strategic. We don't plan because we're not built for it. 5,000 years ago, the average lifespan was 18. Jason here, he'd be, oh my God, Dad, oh. John L here would be a grandpa. Yeah, you smile, dude. I tell you, dude, you look 23. You're not 33. Don't give me that shit anymore. 5,000 years ago, the average lifespan was 18. When that's your lifespan, you're not worrying about your portfolio 6 months later. You're not worrying about, how many, factories and grain can I hold on to. You're worrying about getting through the day. You were worried about survival. You were worried about dangers from wild animals, poison plants, from a neighboring warlike tribe to the what? Oh my God. And, by the way, we almost didn't make it as a species. 99% of all the species that ever existed are gone. There are only 10 million species left out of originally 1 billion. It's not easy to make it. So everything we are today is built on survival. The Homo sapien is here today because of that. And our brain functionality over the years was geared to support survival. Now today, the average lifespan is not 18, it's 80. And actually, it's kind of cool. The rules of science is a segue in terms of living a long life, not just long, but stamina and energy, where even Herb don't need Viagra anymore. In order to get there, if you follow the rules according to nutrition, exercise, what it means not to have anger in your heart, which is a bigger precursor to heart disease and poor nutrition and lack of exercise, follow these rules, you can maintain, it's a trip. Without science evolving out, we know science is going to the roof. We can get to the point where you can have the same energy and stamina at 90 that you had at 28. It's a trip. The rules are mirrored today. There's no magic pill. But they exist. But you have to engage in the thinking process. But we're not built for it. We're cavemen in our DNA still. We're built just to get to the day. So intellectually you can understand, well, if I save some money every week, it's going to get to this point. But what happens is you see this say, oh, I got to go buy. That instinct for instant gratification is so built in you. It is a bitch to beat. It's doable. But you just have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that. It doesn't mean beat yourself up. A lot of us, when we say, I'm going to quit smoking, and we start smoking, oh, I'm a loser. We got all this negative self-talk. I can't seem to keep the weight off. I can't seem to save money. I can't seem, to keep a good woman in my life. Whatever it is. Okay. In business, if you want to do well in your business of your life, you need to be objective. Most of you aren't. Most of you attach too much business, too much emotion to the outcome of your business. The successful CEO, there's very few. 98% of all businesses will fail. 40% of all the Fortune 500 companies around 10 years ago no longer around. But if you look at the companies that do succeed, the leaders maintain objectivity. They take inquiry. They don't go high or low, woo, woo, woo. Just what are the facts? And what I encourage you in your life is to be the CEO of your own life. You have to be objective. You have to see what you do well and what you don't. Because if you do that, you'll not likely to get back on the path of whatever you seek to do because you're attaching pain to that failure. No, I don't want to do that again. So screw it. And yet, when you engage in planning, looking ahead, thinking, well, what kind of man am I going to be? What kind of woman will I be? And you define some themes on paper because of too much detail here to go on how the brain processes information, a nerve trip, how the physiology of your brain engages with the environment. It's a trip. Most of us are unaware of, so we don't take advantage. But when we engage on paper, and then we measure the results, even when we fail, we learn. It's data. Because one thing we human beings are extraordinary at is making adjustments. But you can't make adjustments if you don't make the attempt and don't make the attempt to screw up. In order to make the screw up, you have to put things down where you can do so you capture information. Because you won't keep it in your conscious brain. You won't. I'm trying to compress all this in 20 minutes. Why is there a crikey text?
You got another 10.
Yeah. I'm going to try to approach something else. And Jeff, don't answer this question, okay? What's the most important part of a car? Don't be shy. Come on.
Driver.
Driver. Okay. Does anybody have something contradicting? You know, the ancient Greeks loved argument. They believed argument was critical for a growth of society. But somehow today, you know, the only way I can argue by up the decibel level.
What about the engine?
Okay, an argument. The driver. Who said what? Engine brakes?
Wheels. Steering wheel.
Steering wheel too. Yeah. We do one stone. What?
Everything is fluid.
Yeah.
Wheels.
Okay, cool. Okay. I have an answer for you. That's not what I heard. It's the part that ain't working.
There you go.
I got my Accord, brand new Accord, driving down to LA in Buffalo Beach on Highway 5, and the battery went dead. Shit. Guess what was the most important part of my car? Yeah. Look, so, in order for the most important part of my car not to happen, I have my car on the plan, on the maintenance. Not everything gets the same priority. I put gas in far more frequently than the oil gets changed, but the oil gets changed on a regular basis according to a schedule. The transmission fluid will get swapped out. The braking fluid at some point, the tires will get rotated and then swapped out. I could get another car, but I got 269,000 miles on my car. I love my Honda. Everything works. Why? Because I put some thought ahead of time to make sure I do all the key things that the most important part doesn't happen. Well, in your life's the same thing. The most important part of your life is the part that's not working. Well, my left toe hurts, but your right toe's fine, Steve. Screw my right toe, my left toe, ow! Think about where your attention goes. If your heart's broken, it makes no difference how much money you got. I promise you. My ex-wife, Susan.